The Honorable Stephen Bernard presiding. You may be seated.
Good afternoon. Warm enough for you? Ladies and gentlemen, this is a special session of the Colorado Court of Appeals. We meet this afternoon to invest and to welcome the newest member of our court, Jaclyn Brown. My name is Steve Bernard, and I am the Chief Judge of the Colorado Court of Appeals. I have the privilege and the honor to serve on this court with these talented and dedicated individuals sitting to my right and left and behind me. Let me introduce them to you. Judge Daniel Taubman, Judge John Daly, Judge David Furman, Judge Diana Terry, Judge Jerry Jones, Judge Stephanie Dunn, Judge Anthony Navarro, Judge Michael Berger, Judge Craig Welling, and Judge Ted Tao. Our colleagues, Judge John Webb, Judge Robert Hawthorne, Deputy Chief Judge Gilbert Roman, Judge David Richmond, Judge Terry Fox, Judge Rebecca Freyre, Judge Elizabeth Harris, Judge Lino Lipinski de Orloff, Judge Matthew Grove, and Judge Neethi Pawar could not be here today to participate in this ceremony, but on their behalf and on behalf of the entire court, I welcome all of you. Before I introduce some of the very special people and honored guests who have come here today to witness and to be a part of this important event in Jackie's life, let me share a bit of history and a few thoughts about the Colorado Court of Appeals. The Colorado Court of Appeals has been created, disbanded, and recreated periodically since 1891 in response to an ever-increasing volume of appellate cases. The current Court of Appeals will celebrate its 50th birthday on January 1st, 2020. Back in 1970, when the current court came into existence, there were 6 judges. They officed in the old Farmers Union building at 15th and Sherman Street, and they heard oral arguments in the old Supreme Court chambers across the street in the state capitol. Eventually, in 1977, the Court of Appeals, along with the Supreme Court, moved to a courthouse on this very location. It was indeed a brand new building, but from the onset, it was fraught with problems. Budget, design, construction, and otherwise, including, by the way, a leak in the roof so that water dripped down right over the podium where counsel argued in the Court of Appeals courtroom. To deal with this, there was arranged a sort of Rube Goldberg machine of tarps and tubes and buckets. So instead of dripping on counsel, you could hear the water dripping into the bucket in the corner of the courtroom. And then, coming up on 7 years ago, in mid-December 2012, we moved into this lovely building, the Ralph L. Carr Judicial Center. And here we are in July 2019, now 22 Court of Appeals judges, all settled in a beautiful, thoughtfully designed, well-constructed home. By the way, for those of you in the audience who are visiting the Ralph Carr Center for the very first time, I encourage you, if you haven't done so already, to take a few minutes to explore the public areas in the entire complex, including the many pieces of public art and, of course, the one-of-a-kind Judicial Learning Center on the first floor of the building. I'd like to take a moment of personal privilege here to talk a little bit more about my court, the Court of Appeals. And I want to talk about it in light of the 50th anniversary of the moon landing of Apollo 11. That moon landing was an extraordinary work of teamwork. I've seen estimates that over 400,000 people in one way or another contributed that, to the folks who did computer programming on those early computers, to the women who sewed the spacesuits that the astronauts were in. The greatest accomplishments are team endeavors, and we on the Court of Appeals work as a team. We last year decided around 2,600 cases, and we issued approximately 1,800 opinions. If you do the math, that's about 80 opinions apiece for us. We have to work it as a team or we don't get our work out. That doesn't mean we always agree. Sometimes one of us will write a dissent or a special concurrence. But we have to work together to get that volume of work done. And we do so, and we do so in a collegial manner. I would now like to introduce some of our honored guests. As I introduce you, I ask each guest to please wave or stand up so that we can see where you are. Also, if the audience would, please withhold your applause and recognition of our honored guests until all of them have been introduced. We are first honored to have Colorado's Governor, Jared Polis, here today. We will hear from the governor a bit later because he will offer some remarks about Jackie. From the Colorado Supreme Court, we are honored to have Chief Justice Ben Coates, Justice Brian Boatwright, Justice Richard Gabriel, and Justice Carlos Samur. Justices Monica Marquez, Will Hood, and Melissa Hart are unable to join us. Several former judges of the Court of Appeals are with us. Senior Judge and former Chief Judge Janice Davidson, Senior Judge Jim Casebolt, and former Judge Steve Briggs. Acting as the bailiff for these proceedings is the Clerk of the Court of Appeals, Polly Brock. Next, I am pleased to welcome from the District Court in Colorado's 17th Judicial District, Chief Judge Emily Anderson. We are also joined by the former Chief Judge of the 17th Judicial District, Pat Murphy, who will swear Jackie in, along with 17th Judicial District Court Judges Sean Finn and Ed Moss. Judge Moss is not here today. 17th Judicial District Magistrate Judges Kelly Sutherland and Mariana Velma, and former District Court Judge of the 17th Judicial District, Mike Goodby. Mike didn't wear a tie. Why am I not surprised? We are also pleased to have with us County Court Judge Don Toussaint from the 18th Judicial District. From the United States District Court for the District of Colorado, we have Magistrate Judge Cato Cruz. He was not able to be here.
Last minute.
I also want to recognize Jackie Cooper Melman, Chief Legal Counsel to Governor Polis, and Jenna Goldstein and Courtney Krause, who are Deputy Legal Counsel to the Governor. We also have with us Denver City Attorney Kristen Bronson. Ms. Bronson? Catherine Starnella, President of the Hispanic Bar Association. 0 for 2. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see.
2 for 2.
2 for 2. Okay. And Rachel Catt, President of the LGBTQ Bar Association. There she is. On behalf of the Court of Appeals, I wish to thank all of the members of the Supreme Court Nominating Commission for their hard work and excellent selection of nominees to our court. Are any of those members with us today? I want to introduce the members of Jackie's family and who have come to share their pride and their joy at her investiture as a Court of Appeals judge. We have with us today Jackie's husband, Lauren Brown, who shall offer some additional remarks in a few minutes. Jackie and Lauren's boys, Sawyer, Jackson, and Grayson. Jackie's father and mother, Michael and Robbie Casey. Her brother, Joshua Casey. Her mother-in-law, Maggie Brown. Maggie's significant other, James Horn. Jackie's sister-in-law, Lisa Couch. And Jackie's nephew, Charlie Couch. Thank you all for being here. Please join me in a round of applause for all of our honored guests. Now we proceed to the official portions of this ceremony. Others will soon speak more broadly on this issue, but I wish to begin by recognizing that Jackie is assuming an important and difficult task. Justice Louis Brandeis once said, "If we desire respect for the law, we must first make the law respectable." I have no doubt that Jackie will be an exceptional judge because she will do everything in her power to make the law, as discussed in her opinions, respectable. I would now ask Governor Polis to briefly introduce us to his new appointee. If you would, Governor, please come up to the podium on my left.
Thank you, Chief Judge Bernard. I've never approached the bench before, so always a first time. Chief Justice Coates, members of the judiciary, other members of the legal profession, the public, of course, the family and friends of Jackie Brown, who are so proud of her. Thanks for being here today to mark the investiture of Judge Jaclyn Brown to the Court of Appeals. Judge Brown has taken the seat of Judge Karen Ashby, who served with distinction before deciding to retire this last January, and we want to thank Judge Ashby as well for her service. With two new vacancies in the Court of Appeals that were announced just right after I took office, I was really grateful for the opportunity to help ensure that our independent judiciary continues to uphold the rule of law and set a high bar of excellence in Colorado. I was asked to choose among 6 highly qualified nominees, each with distinguished backgrounds and glowing recommendations, and each of whom would have been excellent candidates for the Court of Appeals. Certainly not an easy decision. We're really fortunate to have so many dedicated legal practitioners and junior members of the bench in our state. I'm grateful for all the applicants who put their names forward, not only the final 6 that were advanced to me, but everybody who was willing to pursue this seat or any of the seats. Out of all of the very accomplished nominees, I was very thrilled to select Judge Jackie Brown, along with her colleague Neethi Pawar, to the Court of Appeals. From the very start, Jackie stood out as a candidate, as a terrific judge, and one who will unquestionably steadfastly serve our state for decades to come. She started her education here in Colorado at the University of Colorado Boulder before attending Washington University in St. Louis for law school. From there, her career has taken a very impressive trajectory. She joined Louis Rocha Rothgerber Christie and became a partner in 2013, focusing on commercial and complex civil litigation, ranging from real estate to insurance disputes. After 11 years in the private sector, Governor Hickenlooper appointed Jackie to be a district judge for the 17th in 2016. She successfully navigated and managed a heavy workload in the 17th as a judge, splitting her docket between domestic and civil matters. I was really blown away by the avalanche of positive comments our office received in response to Jackie's nomination, as well as her interview. Her short transition to the bench has been met with overwhelming praise, highlighting her industrious work ethic that she has taken across her assignments, her intelligence, and her judicial temperament. She's faced cases ranging from complicated constitutional matters to emotionally charged domestic relations disputes with grace, poise, and honor. And this experience only adds to Jackie's impressive profile of professional credentials. Jackie's accolades are too many to list, but to name a few, she's been listed in the Denver Business Journal's 40 Under 40, named Lawyer of the Year by Law Week Colorado in 2013, honored by the Denver Bar Association as Young Lawyer of the Year that same year, given the Exceptional Service Award by the American Bar Association's Death Penalty Representation Project for her outstanding pro bono work, and recognized as a rising star by Colorado super lawyers each year between 2011 and 2014. I think, having been recognized as a rising star, it's fair to say that as of today, her star is fully risen. Jackie isn't just a brilliant jurist, but also someone who's gone above and beyond through her community involvement in, among other organizations, the National Association of Women Judges, the Colorado Women's Bar Association, and the National Council of Juvenile and Family Court Judges. And to further her service, Jackie has also volunteered for Judges Fighting Hunger and helped the next generation of legal minds by advising high school students in mock trial competitions. More than anything else, I selected Jackie because she has an unbridled passion for public service, an unwavering pursuit of social justice, a strong work ethic, and an unquestionable commitment to making our state a better place for all Coloradans. Judge Brown, congratulations on your appointment to the Court of Appeals. We know you'll serve this court with the same honor and distinction that has defined your career so far. Congratulations.
Thank you, Governor, for your remarks. It is traditional for us next to learn something about each new Court of Appeals judge. Jackie, I understand that you have asked your husband, Lauren, to do the honors. Lauren, if you would do so at this time, again delivering from the podium on my left.
Chief Judge Bernard, may it please the court. I can't tell you how happy we are to have all of you here today to help celebrate this very special day of my wife being appointed to the Colorado Court of Appeals. When you think about doing a speech like this, it's hard to know what to say or how to get everything in there. And one of the things as a trial lawyer that we like to do is come up with a theme that properly captures the person we're talking about. And I thought, and then I recalled back to a conversation that I had with Justice Hood over at the Bar Association. And as usually happens, the conversation drifts always quickly to Jackie. And Justice Hood asked how she was doing. I said that she was applying for the Court of Appeals. And he paused and he said, she's got a really good shot. I said, I think so too. And he goes, no, she is an absolute force of nature. And I think that is one of the best ways to describe Jackie. I've not seen a challenge that she's been faced with that she didn't take head on and that she didn't conquer. Governor Polis captured very well her career path, but there are a lot of underlying themes that brought her to where she is. She grew up in Southern California out in the Mojave Desert with her mom, Robbie, and dad, Mike, and of course her brother, Josh. And one of the neat things was that her grandmother also lived on the property with them. So after school, Jackie would spend her afternoons with her grandmother, who, from what I understand, was very loving but also direct, who I think helped instill in Jackie a very deep concern for others. If you've spent much time with Jackie, you'll quickly learn that she's what we like to call an emotional athlete. She feels things very deeply and cries very easily. Not so much that it could be a drinking game, but very close. But I mention that because that's the type of passion and compassion that she brings into everything that she does. Through high school, family moved here to Colorado in the early 1990s, and then she went to high school at Ponderosa High School. For a time, she wanted to be an actress. There's a lot of neat factoids that I can give you about Jackie, but one of the really neat things is that she's an above-average dancer. And, as a trial lawyer, I think most trial lawyers deep down inside is someone who wanted to be an actor but didn't make it, and I think that fits Jackie well. A lot of drama in the courtrooms. After she graduated from high school, she went on to CU. Her plans at that point were to be a physician. After getting her very first B in organic chemistry, she decided that law was for her. But she worked very hard, and her determination, once she realized where she wanted to go, she graduated from CU in 3 years, went on to law school and graduated near the top of her class. Absolutely driven in everything that she does. Went to Lewis, Rocco, Rothgerber, and Christie. And as a young woman in the legal profession in a large downtown law firm, I'm sure she met struggles. I know she did. But she always met them head on. When I met her, she was on the verge of becoming partner. And it seemed a lot of difficult cases seem to always land in her lap. And in the legal profession, we talk about hard cases find a way to the person who can solve them. And you would hear about cases. I remember one case, it was a class action lawsuit up in Wyoming that had spun out of control a little bit just by the sheer inertia of the case. And then they brought Jackie in, and I think it was resolved about 2 months later. And this is a case that had gone on for 7 years and looked like it could go on for another 20. Always determined she would put her head down and work as hard as she could. And that's the type of work ethic that she brings with her. We saw the same thing when she went to the district court. She had no experience in domestic relations, spending her whole career as a civil litigator doing complex commercial litigation, eminent domain, things like that. The only thing that she ever knew about divorce was hearing about mine. That she helped me master. She spent day and night, went to every class she could, even stopped working at Rothgerber several weeks early so she could go to different seminars and classes to learn how to become a domestic relations judge. And she absolutely conquered it. My firm does a lot of family law, and we would hear constantly, even though we weren't allowed to appear in front of her, unfortunately, constantly hearing from other attorneys what a great judge she was. And I knew that because she would be out with her laptop until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning routinely trying to hammer out orders. But there's nothing she can't conquer. The best example I have, of course, 2 years ago, many of you know, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, which was tough. And we found out, and as doctors do, they just call you and tell you and then send you on your way. Jackie came home and we talked about it. And of course, there was a conference that weekend, the Family Law Institute, and Jackie's work ethic. She said, well, I need to go to FLI, so she went. And I spent that weekend with Grayson, and when he was napping or sleeping, I would spend my time researching para-disability, short-term and long-term. Jackie got home, and there was a notepad on the table, and she said, what is this? And I said, well, I've done research to figure out short-term and long-term disability. And she paused and looked at me in her way. She says, well, spouses don't get disability. And I thought, I started to speak, and she gave me a look, and I knew exactly what she was saying. That this was not going to stop her, it wasn't going to slow her down, and it didn't. Through ungodly treatment, she took off Thursdays for chemo, and would be back at work on Friday, and then, of course, took off for the surgery. But never once did I ever hear her complain, and all she wanted to do was work. She wanted to get better, but she also wanted to work. She felt that the commitment that she made to the people of Adams County to be a district court judge was that important, that she would work through whatever was in front of her, and she did. She worked hard with the support of Chief Judge Murphy and the other judges on the 17th, and she made it through. She absolutely is a force of nature, and she works tirelessly. When the positions came open for the Court of Appeals, it was a no-brainer for her to apply, and we were so happy and thrilled that Governor Polis selected her. But her continued work ethic, even within the last couple of weeks, she had her first oral arguments the other day. And this is a daunting task, but it's one of the few places in the legal profession, no offense to anyone to my right, it's one of the places you can hide out. Justice Clarence Thomas went decades without speaking in court. And I mentioned to Jackie as she was preparing, she was a little bit overwhelmed and working hard, reading briefs, talking through the issues. And I said, you could now harness your internal Clarence Thomas and not say anything. And she refused, because that's not who she is. And I tell that story, Governor, so that you know you made the right choice with someone who, even when there is an easy way out, no matter how small the task is or how big the task is, Jackie pours her entire heart into it, gives it her best effort. You all will see that in the coming years on how hard she works and how much she cares about what she does. So I'm proud of you, and we'll make you proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren, for those remarks. We now proceed to administer the oath of office. Jackie has asked Pat Murphy, former Chief Judge of the 17th Judicial District, to perform that honor. Jackie, if you would please join Judge Murphy at the lectern.
You want me in front?
Where do you want us? Right here? Well, before I do this, I got called this morning at 8 in the morning, and it was Jackie. She said, "Hi, it's Jackie. Would you swear me in?" And those of you who know me were like, "What a error in judgment." And I said, "Sure, I'd be honored." And but understanding that every time I enter this place, I get really dizzy and disoriented because I've been reversed so many times. And so I'm trying to find my bearings here so we move forward. But as a trial court judge, I asked my good friend Justice Samora if I could go ahead and have my own oath. And so he said, "Go ahead." He dared me. This is my own oath, and then we'll move to the other.
Okay.
Raise your hand, please.
Yes, sir.
I
I, Jaclyn Brown,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that to err is human,
that to err is human,
and to affirm is divine.
and to affirm is divine.
Thank you. Now, we on the trial court bench, we love that word, that affirm. Now we'll go to the formal oath. I
Jaclyn Brown,
do solemnly swear,
do solemnly swear,
sincerely
sincerely,
and truly declare and affirm
and truly declare and affirm
that I will support the constitutions of the United States
that I will support the constitutions of the United States
and the state of Colorado,
and the state of Colorado,
and will faithfully perform the duties
and will faithfully perform the duties
of the office of Judge of the Colorado Court of Appeals,
of the office of Judge of the Colorado Court of Appeals,
upon which I'm about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
There we go. Thank you, Judge Murphy. I don't know if that first oath will hold up. We now proceed to the robing ceremony. And Jackie's boys, Sawyer, Jackson, and Grayson, will assist in robing our new judge. I now ask Judge Ted Tao, who served with Judge Brown in the 17th Judicial District, to escort our newest colleague to the bench. Judge Brown, we enthusiastically congratulate you on your appointment, and now I will ask you to please share with us some of your thoughts on this occasion.
Thank you. Governor Polis, Chief Judge Bernard, Chief Justice Coates, fellow members of the judiciary, distinguished guests, family, and friends. As Lauren forecasted, I am overcome with emotion, and I am humbled to sit here at this bench and look around this room. This is an incredibly special and somewhat surreal occasion. This is the second time that I have had the honor to be sworn in to the Colorado judiciary, and at my first swearing in, I recited a quote by U.S. Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, which I find even more applicable now than it was then. She said, "We don't accomplish anything in this world alone, and whatever happens is the result of the whole tapestry of one's life and all the weavings of individual threads from one to another that creates something." Each person in this room and every person watching either the live feed or the recording, I don't know what you're getting right now, each of you has woven a thread into this tapestry. I would not be here without every impact, no matter how great and how small, that each of you has made on me as a person and as a professional. And if I stopped to thank you all individually, we would be here until I retire, and as we heard, that would be decades from now, so we're gonna skip that. But I do feel compelled to publicly express my gratitude to a few people who were instrumental in my development as a lawyer, my success on the district court bench, and now my elevation to this court. Governor Polis, I start with you and your dedicated staff, Ms. Melmed Cooper Melmed, I think is the right way to say that. Ms. Goldstein, Ms. Krause, I think you're here as well. I cannot overstate how much I appreciate your investment in appointing qualified and dedicated judges to serve in our state courts. I am honored to have been among the outstanding candidates that you had to choose from for this appointment, and they included my newest colleague, Neethi Pawar, who is not here in person but is here in spirit, as well as Michael Beaver, Christina Gomez, Sarah Wallace, and David Yoon, all very qualified candidates. And as you know, this court in particular is in the middle of a metamorphosis. By next spring, more than 1/3 of this court will have turned over in the span of approximately 3 years. And although we will undoubtedly lose invaluable institutional knowledge when my colleagues like Judge Taubman and Judge Webb and Judge Hawthorne retire, you, Governor, have the opportunity to inoculate this court with new energy and enthusiasm and diversity, and I am so excited and pleased to be a part of that. So thank you. I spent the first 11 years of my career practicing law at the Rothgerber firm with some of the best lawyers in Colorado. How lucky I was to grow up in an environment that cultivated professional excellence and community stewardship. And many of my former colleagues remain some of my most reliable advocates now. And Jim Lyons and Trey Rogers in particular, thank you for your help through this process. And Kristen Bronson, although you are now the Denver City Attorney, I am so grateful that you were assigned to be my mentor all those years ago. And I am grateful for your support in this process and all of the investment you've made in me over the years. For the last 3 years, I've had the privilege of serving on the district court bench in the 17th Judicial District. I will tell you, being a trial judge is at the same time exhilarating and exhausting. My colleagues around the state continue to do this work on a daily basis with dignity and grace. And I will also tell you that the judges and magistrates and staff members of the 17th Judicial District are some of the hardest working, dedicated people I have met. And thank you for continuing to put the people of Adams and Broomfield counties first. I have to also, though, extend to you, my colleagues from the 17th, a much more personal appreciation as well. Here's where it gets real tough. through some of my darkest hours battling cancer, you were there to shine a light. You covered my docket. You took up my slack when I was too ill to do it myself. You brought me food and those little Zen coloring books and unscented candles and blankets, and you ignored my bald head and my gray skin, and you fed my soul with words of encouragement. Thank you. Chief Judge Emily Anderson, I know Patty is not here, but I know she's here in spirit as well. To you and Patricia Jarzobski, I know it was initially with divided hearts that you sponsored my rise to this court because you wanted me to stay in the 17th. But once you were in, you were all in. And I thank you for opening your hearts to me, for empowering me, and for introducing me to Brene Brown. She's fantastic. Chief Judge Patrick Murphy, you started whispering in my ear about joining the bench years before I ever threw my hat in the ring. You championed me through the nominating process, and you enthusiastically supported me as a young district court judge. And then you and I forged an unlikely friendship amid our parallel health battles. I wish you the best in your retirement, and I thank you endlessly for your guidance and friendship. And I need to take a minute to thank my law clerks and my exceptional division clerk, Jody Sherbandi, who I know is here. Thank you for making me more critical, more compassionate, and more competent. And I tell you, if the key to success is surrounding yourself with smart, strong women who will challenge you and make you a better person, then I have cracked that code. Thank you again. To my new colleagues on the Court of Appeals, thank you for the warm welcome you've already given me. You have already demonstrated to me your patience and your understanding and your devotion to and reverence for the incredibly important work that we do. I thank you also in advance for when I darken your doors in the future and continue to ask you questions. I must extend a special thanks to Judge Roman, who is also not here, but again, in spirit, he was incredibly generous with his time and with his advice during this process, the application and interview process, and I'm deeply grateful. And to my friends, Judge Welling and Judge Tao, who are also from the 17th. Who knew that the 17th was the farm team for the Court of Appeals? Turns out it is. I am grateful for your sage advice, for your words of encouragement, for your tough mock interview questions, and for your sense of humor as I continue to ask you neophyte questions. I look forward to serving with you both for many, many years. I am so honored to join this bench. I want to thank my friends. Many of you are here. You are amazing, hardworking, remarkable people who believe in me and give me honest advice and laugh and cry with me, which apparently I do a lot, and inspire me with your loyalty and courage in individual successes. There are too many of you to name, but please, I hope each of you understands how much I value you and how integral you are and have been to my development as a human being. And finally, I want to thank my family. My mom and dad are here. The chief introduced you to them. And as Lauren told a little bit about my story, my brother and I grew up most of our childhood chasing tumbleweeds in the middle of the Mojave Desert. My mom was a bank teller and my dad ran a welding shop in the town. And my grandma did live in a trailer in my backyard, and she was my babysitter. She took care of me as both of my parents worked incredibly hard to support our family. I did not know anyone personally who was a judge or a lawyer. I'm fairly certain I didn't know anybody who had graduated from college. But I knew my parents, and I knew how hard they worked day in and day out to better our circumstances and give me every opportunity for success. The opportunity to be here in this impressive courtroom among these distinguished guests being sworn in as a Court of Appeals judge. Mom and Dad, you instilled in me a belief that I could do anything if I worked hard enough for it, and you were right. Josh, I continue to be grateful for the sacrifices that you made so that I could be the one to go to college. I've told you this before, I can never repay you, but I promise I will continue to make good of it. Jackson and Sawyer, my incredible stepsons, you have changed my life in ways that I never knew was possible. You are kind, smart, funny, and I am so proud of the young men that you are growing into. And Grayson, he's a ham, isn't he? Baby, you were too young to even understand what I was saying the last time I had one of these. But now here you are, this whole little person who challenges me and inspires me and makes me want to be better and do better in this world. Thank you. You make my heart so full. And last but not least, my husband, Lauren. I cannot say to you everything I want to say, everything you deserve to hear, because I will lose it. But I'm going to try to say this. You are my guiding light. You are the source of my strength and courage and inspiration. And through the challenges of the last 2 years, you held on to my big dreams and never doubted that I could realize them. I mean, who tells the girl sitting in the chemo chair that she should apply for the Court of Appeals? Who thinks that is a good plan? Oh, but you did, and I listened, and we're here. Oh, you've helped me understand the lesson that Master Shifu teaches Po in Kung Fu Panda. He said, if you only do what you can do, you will never be more than you are now. And now you all know I really am a boy mom because I just quoted Kung Fu Panda in my investiture speech. So there you go. I think it's probably time to wrap this up. What do you think? Oh, in my view, every good judge must have the intellectual capacity to deal with the wide variety and complexity of the issues that come before the court and a deep understanding of the human implication of the decisions that we make. I promise to approach this work with both intellectual curiosity and empathy, and to earn my position on this prestigious court every single day. Thank you very much.
To help celebrate this wonderful moment with our new judge and her family and friends, a reception in Judge Brown's honor will be held immediately following this ceremony in the courthouse atrium behind those brass doors. We invite all of our guests to join our new judge, her family, her friends, and the rest of us there. The court will be in recess. Ms. Brock, will you please so announce?
All right. The court is in recess.